Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. Glad to be with you. And we're live in Reno at the Grand Slam Hunting and Outfitting Convention. It is a fantastic good time. We'll be here for First Amendment Friday tomorrow, live as well, and taking your phone calls from around the United States of America. It's a real pleasure to welcome back to the program, and he's been gone too long, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Hey, Dr. Jasser, good to have you on the program.
Oh, Lars, it's always great to be with you. Thanks for having me back.
Dr. Jasser is the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy and author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam, and American Muslim Patriots Fight to Save His Faith. And you've been fighting this fight for a long time, and now we're starting to see things crop up in some really odd areas. You've written about, and your organization has reported on, the fact that this group CAIR, the Council for American Islamic Relations, is taking issue with things that you said about the military's dress code changes. We talked about it on the show, but for people who didn't hear it, the military is now going to allow some beards and some turbans and some other religious accoutrement on soldiers in uniform, soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. And you wrote about this, and now CAIR is taking issue with what you said?
It's amazing. Not only are they taking issue, they are fabricating whole cloth my position and lying about it and defaming me because they're making a point. They don't care what the truth is. They want the rest of the Muslim community to know that if you don't toe the line with their Islamist movement, that they will tar and feather you and make sure that nobody knows the truth, and make it a point basically to do what the radicals like Al-Qaeda do, which is to do what's called takfir and make a Muslim not appear to be so. If you go to their homepage right now, you'll see a picture of me that says that I am against Muslim rights in the military. And that could not be further from the truth. All I said on Fox, and I've written many times, I helped Muslims. I was not only devout Muslim, I practiced my faith openly and conservatively at Bethesda Naval Hospital, at Norfolk Naval Base. But with this last pronouncement, I said, the Sikhs certainly may have proven that they can wear their beards safely and they can do it with unit cohesion, but we should be careful that this does not open the door to a litigation jihad, that while Muslim women may be able to wear a hijab, we have to be careful that this not open the door. We as Muslims, beards are not mandated by our faith, by most Muslims I know, and that this should not open the door to willy-nilly any whim that anybody says is as a result of religion to allow to break up and balkanize our military. And boy, they just went after that and said that I, started citing my role on the U.S. Commission on Religious Freedom and other aspects. And I think it's extremely telling when people say, where are the moderate voices? See what happens to people that are reasonable, moderate Muslims who speak out in favor of our military, in favor of unit cohesion, and you see what happens.
Well, Dr. Jasser, let me ask you about this. We've heard cases over the decades in America about religious freedom in schools, and I think you'll see where I'm going with this comparison. We say you can't have a school where you offer up a Christian prayer at the beginning of the class day because there will be a kid in there who is not a follower of that faith or of any faith, and he will be made to feel different. And so we say we can't do that because that would cross the First Amendment line. Similarly, what happens to our military if we say to all the soldiers, all of you must wear a certain uniform, and you must wear it in precisely this way? I mean, my stepson, who got out of the U.S. Marines last year, he served his 4 years, and he's out. But I remember him explaining to me that they had actual, measuring devices, to decide exactly where something had to be put on their uniform, exactly the right way to wear it, how everything had to be. And then this military unit has to say, oh, but this guy is different. He gets to wear his turban. And, they have rules about when you're required to wear your cover and when you are required to have your cover off. And they're right down to whether you're inside or outside a building, whether you're under arms or not. The honor guard is allowed to wear their covers on inside a building, whereas, regular soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine are not allowed to wear their cover, inside a building. If you're eating outside with your family, I went to a Marine Corps graduation, and I said, why is that guy sitting outside without his cover on? Oh, because he's sitting having an informal meal with his family. So they have rules right down to that. And now to say, but there will be some groups of people based on their faith who will be able to completely break all those rules. Isn't that going to put them in the same position that the U.S. military is seen to favor one religious group over another religious group?
You're 100% correct, and that's why we did the release we did. I said what I did on Fox. which is that all this new pronouncement, this new directive does is lower the threshold from coming from the Secretary of the Army or Air Force level down to the commanding officers level, giving them the ability to make some rare exceptions. It doesn't change the limitations that it has to maintain unit cohesion, that it be the exception to get permission, not be demanding these things. And I'll tell you, as a Muslim, I used to try to pray 5 times a day, but I didn't change the schedule. I never demanded that it happen. I used to try to fast in Ramadan, but sometimes it was not possible based on our unit deployments, etc.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between a moderate versus a Salafi or a more fundamentalist that may demand. And this is where the administration should have been clear in this directive that nothing has really changed other than possibly for Sikhs, who I think are some of the most patriotic Americans that almost universally have not been able to serve because the beard is central to their faith. The Orthodox Jewry who wear the yarmulke, which I don't see really changing the uniform since it's usually hidden under the cover, that doesn't change anything.
Well,
But
any more than a Christian who wore a Christian cross but it was hidden under his uniform would necessarily create a problem for the military. But the beard is particularly problematic for me, Dr. Jasser, because I know that if you talk to a cop, a firefighter, or a soldier, or sailor, airman, or Marine, they'll tell you, I can't wear certain kinds of protective gear if I have a full beard. I don't even know how, from a practical standpoint, they're going to allow this thing to happen.
Well, they proved, and this was actually one of my first questions, they proved that the chemical biological warfare masks, they were able to do it safely and wear it as such. And as a physician, I used to give permission slips to some people to be able to grow a beard when they had infections and other things. And there are ways around it, but that really, as you say, it needs to be the exception. And other than the Sikh tradition, I can't think of a faith where it's as central to that. And the threshold needs to be very high because of the security issues, because of their own safety issues, and the unit cohesion, where if everybody starts demanding a beard and facial hair and other things, it can really, as you say, change the entire look of our military.
And that's where we get to kind of a constitutional question. So you have one soldier who's a Sikh who says, I want to wear the beard, it's central to my religion. And then you have another soldier who says, well, I want to grow a beard as well, but it's not because of my religion. Do we really have the U.S. government saying we are going to allow this soldier to do it because of his religion, and you are not allowed to do it because you don't practice that religion? That would seem to me to cross the First Amendment boundary.
Well, this is where this is not like working at Walmart or, at a private company. This is the U.S. military. They have the ability for mission readiness to make decisions, and they should be protected. Nidal Hassan was walking around Walter Reed Army Hospital with a business card that said Soldier of Allah, and nobody wanted to say anything because they were worried about this, political correctness and all these other things, which should not be at anyone's concern when you're dealing with keeping our country, our citizens, and our troops safe. So this is where there needs to be a balance in the way these things are rolled out, and there really wasn't. I think the Sikh community has shown in the British Army, for example, in history, they've been great contributors of warriors to nations and their militaries, and they've not been able to serve because of the beard. So I think there's an exception there, but I would not extend that to anyone who whimsically wants a beard.
Absolutely, and if they start making these kinds of accommodations, at what point are we going to see soldiers saying, "Well, we have to stop now because all of us, or half of us, have to pray, while the other half stand around"? It just doesn't make sense to me, and I think it really does affect the good cohesion of those military units. Dr. Jasser, thanks very much.
Anytime. Thank you, Lars. I really appreciate it.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, who's a great author. We'll be back in just a moment. Your phone calls and emails welcome right here. Live in Reno with KKFT at the Grand Slam Hunting and Outfitting Convention. You've got Compass Media.